Welcome to Life Alchemized, where science meets inner transformation. I'm your host, Natasha, a leadership coach and psychologist. Today, we're talking about chaos. Think about those seasons where everything hits the fan at once. It's the week where a critical project at work falls apart, your laptop crashes, a family member needs sudden care, and the boundary lines you so carefully drew in your life are completely obliterated. Suddenly, you aren't managing a life anymore, you're simply surviving an avalanche of demands. The real world friction of chaos isn't just the long to do list. The friction is the terrifying sense of disorientation. It's the feeling that the ground underneath your feet has turned into quicksand. When life enters a chaotic cycle, our immediate frantic instinct is to force control. We micromanage, we white knuckle our schedules, we skip sleep, and we yell at the universe to sit down and be quiet. We treat chaos as a profound error, a sign that we have failed to organize our lives correctly or that everything is actively breaking. And we can even tell ourselves, if I were just smarter, faster, or more disciplined, my life wouldn't look like this. But trying to force order onto a chaotic storm doesn't calm the storm. It just exhausts the sailor. To understand why chaos paralyzes us, we have to look at what happens inside the human nervous system when predictability vanishes. The human brain is essentially a prediction machine. From an evolutionary standpoint, your brain's primary job is to anticipate the immediate future to keep you alive. It looks at past patterns to guess what would happen next, allowing it to conserve precious metabolic energy. When life is predictable, the brain is calm. But when chaos hits, predictability drops to zero. Every time a new variable throws your plan off course, your prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive functioning, decision making, and emotional regulation, goes into overdrive trying to calculate new trajectories. It demands an immense amount of glucose and oxygen. Very quickly, a neurological tipping point is reached. The brain realizes it cannot predict the next 5 minutes, let alone the next 5 days. It interprets this lack of predictability as an existential threat. The amygdala fires, hijacking the prefrontal cortex, and floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol. This triggers what psychologists call cognitive overload. When you're in cognitive overload, your working memory shrinks. Your ability to think creatively drops, your emotional bandwidth evaporates, and you fall into binary, survival driven thinking. You become hypervigilant, scanning every email and text message for the next catastrophe. Simultaneously, your autonomic nervous system enters a state of sympathetic activation. So that's high arousal, fight or flight energy. If the chaos persists without a break, your system exhausts itself and drops into dorsal vagal freeze state. And this is the numbness, the executive dysfunction, the feeling of staring at your computer screen for an hour, unable to reply to a single email. The practical consequence of this biology is that the very tools we need to navigate chaos, which are clarity, patience, and strategy, are the exact tools our brain locks away from us when it feels threatened by disorder. When we understand that our overwhelm is just biological chemistry doing its job, we can stop fighting our bodies and start changing our philosophy. This is where we step into the alchemical laboratory. In the ancient traditions of alchemy, the masters spoke of the foundational element called massa confusa, the confused mass, which was synonymous with the prima materia, or the primary matter. The alchemists believed that before you could ever create the magnum opus or the great work, you had to start with a substance that was completely formless, disordered, violent, and chaotic. To the untrained eye, the Massa Confusa looked like absolute garbage. It looked like ruins. But to the alchemists, this chaotic mass was the most sacred substance in the lab. Why? Because order that has become rigid, stagnant, and outdated must be broken down into chaos before a higher level of order can be born. In alchemy, chaos is not the opposite of creation. Chaos is the incubation stage of creation. When your life enters a period of total disorientation, it is rarely a sign of failure. More often, it is a sign that the old version of your life, the old systems, the old way you handled your energy, have all just grown too small for the person you're becoming. The universe is taking your life and breaking it back down into the massa confusa. The mess around you isn't a sign of destruction. It's the raw, unshaped matter required before a brand new, more resilient order can take form. You cannot build a new palace without first clearing and tearing up the old foundation. So, how do we mindfully impact this chaotic alchemical process? We stop trying to fix the outside storm and we become the anchor inside the lab. When your brain is drowning in cognitive overload, trying to organize the chaos out there will only exhaust you. Instead, you must practice what I call micro ordering. When the macro world is chaotic, you tell your nervous system that it is safe by creating radical, microscopic order right where you are. You cannot control the market, the project timeline, or the family crisis, but you can control the immediate 6 inches in front of your face. So this week, when the chaos threatens to paralyze you, pause. Take 3 slow, deep inhalations and exhalations, extending the exhale longer than the inhale to trigger your parasympathetic nervous system and tell your amygdala that you are not dying. Then create one tiny inconsequential thing to bring into absolute order. Clean your physical desk. Organize a single drawer. Write down exactly 3 things and only 3 things that you will focus on for the next hour. By bringing radical order to a micro space, you send a powerful bottom-up signal to your brain. It says, I am safe, I have agency, I am the alchemist, not the victim of the mass. The chaos out there will settle when it's ready. Until then, hold the crucible steady. Thank you for listening to Life Alchemized. If something here resonated, let it settle before you rush forward. Awareness is already movement.